All right, Casey, first of all, thanks for joining us and giving your time. I'm going to talk about Phillip Island, the Australian Grand Prix. What was it about Casey Stoner and that place from, I think it was about 6 years, wasn't it? 2007 to 2012. I mean, you didn't lose a race.
Not really sure what it was because in my early years, to be perfectly honest, I didn't enjoy the circuit. I'd heard all these great things about Phillip Island because I never raced there before I left Australia.
Yep.
So the first time I saw it was when I did a wild card there in 2001. And it wasn't too bad that year, but each year after that, if you weren't on a really quick bike in the lower categories, because so much of it was just wide open, even the last turn was flat out on 125. So I really kind of just struggled and didn't enjoy it because I didn't find a lot of elements to it that I could make ground in. So I really sort of struggled with the circuit and didn't find it, particularly enjoyable. But then you're riding MotoGP around the place, and it starts getting a little bit fun. You lighten it up. You're trying to create grip wherever you can. You can pretty much light it up the whole way around the circuit except for the last half of the main straight. So trying to find grip around there, especially when the tyres are getting old. So much time on one side of the tyre. Everything sort of just comes back to me in my dirt track days of finding grip and percentage throttles, all that sort of thing. So when I went there in a MotoGP bike, I found a new love for it, I suppose. And then I always found that I could find some differences in areas that are a little scary. I sort of tried to make them as safe as possible for myself, and I found time by doing that. So I seem to find something in that circuit that others sometimes struggled with, and that helped me be a little step ahead of the rest, and always gave me that buffer. So it was a really nice feeling to sort of have that around the circuit, which everybody wanted to win at.
Well, exactly right, and I wanted to win there. Never quite did it like you, but I think 2007, going back to that year, your first win there. I think the weekend before you wrapped up your first World Championship and Ducati's only championship to date in Japan. What was the feeling like going to your home race as a world champion, and then eventually that weekend you're the first Aussie to win on home soil since Mick Doohan? Must have been an awesome feeling.
Yeah, we didn't really expect to win the championship in Japan. The results we sort of needed to get were realistic, but the weekend was just a struggle for us, and we just weren't getting the job done. So we're expecting to have to go to Phillip Island and do the job there. But having the pressure off going into Phillip Island was actually really nice. The championship really didn't hit me probably until the season finished.
Yep.
Because I always felt like there was still a job to do. So I never sort of had that, let's celebrate, I won the championship sort of sense to me. I still wanted to go out and it was race by race for me until the end of the season, with championship or without. But it was certainly nice to come to Phillip Island and sort of open my eyes to the whole area and place. I mean, when you go there with a heap of pressure, you sort of got the blinkers on and you can't, let's say smell the roses. You can't enjoy what the island is, the beauty of it, or the circuit. But going there with just that little bit less pressure to perform and get a result was really, really nice in 2007. So I really just got to enjoy that whole weekend, which was probably one of the first MotoGP weekends I've ever enjoyed. So yeah, it was fantastic. The support we had, everything like that was just incredible. So nothing but fond memories of that place from probably 2007 onwards, of course. But pretty much from when I rode that place on a MotoGP bike, I sort of fell in love with it.
Moving on a couple of years, 2009, I think, if I'm correct, you took a break in the middle of that year from probably the end of the British GP, and you didn't come back till Phillip Island, and you went on to win that race. Like, I know you had some issues with your health and getting things sorted, but how confident were you coming back that weekend that you could still put on a decent show, and obviously the show you did, and go on to win that race?
Yeah, well, that season was a struggle for us because we had so many issues early in the season. So I don't think I'd trained before Phillip Island for a good 8 months or so.
You were.
I did the races. I was doing nothing in between, just trying to recover and get my body ready. It all started sort of in Mugello when I was struggling in that year. Catalonia is where it really hit me. Assen again. I was literally just hanging on those races, and it wasn't until basically Portugal that we found out it was lactose intolerance. We needed that full time off to actually find what the issue was. Mm-hmm. Portugal was probably the best feeling because day by day over the weekend, I started feeling that much better on the bike. I wasn't getting tired like I was when I was racing before I left. And I was actually feeling stronger and stronger day by day. And I still remember that feeling of just, wow, you know, I've still got a career here. Yep. Because before that time, if I couldn't fix this, like, my career was done. There's no way I could race in the conditions that I was in. And so, yeah, going into Phillip Island, we weren't necessarily confident. You know, we still hadn't trained a lot. We still weren't race fit. You know, we'd been out of it for a few months, which is longer than the time you take off for pre-season testing, you know, the test ban. We only get a 2-month ban there. So I'd spent a long time off the bike, and we're still, you know, not comfortable with the racing and everything like that. But we managed to do it again in 2009. Valentino put a fair bit of pressure on us that year. Yep. And that year also we had not tyre issues, but we really had to be careful with the tyre because the hard option wasn't working because of the cold conditions. And the little bit softer option, you just weren't going to be able to do the race flat out the whole time. So we sort of had to, I went throughout the race, putting the pace up, trying to break Valentino, and then I'd back it off. When I couldn't break him easily enough, we'd have to back the pace off a long way just to make sure that I had those tyres for the end of the race. So yeah, it was pretty incredible feeling just to know that I wasn't out of it, you know, that at least the next season in 2010, I looked like I could be a contender again and actually fight with these guys, because for a few months there, it was looking pretty bleak for my career. So, you know, that was a great feeling to sort of get back there, get back to the top, and, you know, hold Valentino off for the win again, which was awesome to make it a three-peat at the time.
Well, very, very much so. It was, well, I didn't see it. I was too far behind, but yeah, no, I remember you out there. 2011, I think your 26th birthday, you were challenging Jorge for the World Championship. I think it was pretty tight between you two guys coming to Phillip Island that time, and then Jorge injured himself in was it warm up, I believe. What was your reaction after that and going into the race? You know, did it make it easier for you? Did the pressure come off, or did it make it harder because you had to finish the job?
Probably made it harder, to be honest. It's never a way you talk to anybody at the top of these championships. It's never a way you want to win a championship. But at the same time, we were looking pretty healthy to get the job done anyway. So it just didn't look like it was going to happen on that day. And Jorge had a nasty crash in warm-up and took a bit of his finger off and called it a day, or called it the season, to be honest, because he had second place guaranteed anyway. And that's never the way we wanted to do it. But if Jorge was there, I only had the pressure to go out and win the race. And, you know, I was sort of like, right, I've still got to take championship points here. So I'm gonna make sure that I get as many as I can. So the last couple of races are nice and relaxed. But once he did that, I'm like, right, all I need to do is finish top 4. So don't mess it up, because everybody wanted me to win the championship on that day. So Phillip Island, as you know, throws in some weather, and we knew it was sort of iffy the whole way through. We knew we had the pace to win the race in the dry, but when it starts raining, when there's slick tyres, it's not fun. And that race was just horrible. I think there was no rain for sort of 80-90% of the track, and then up through Lukey and into turn 12, which is where I hit the rain. It was just like a wall of water, and plenty of people went down through it. Bautista, I think, crashed. A couple more exactly the same place going up into Lukey. I mean, once you hit that wall of water and you've already carrying momentum that you're expecting to need for slick tyres, there's not much you can do. So I think with 2 or 3 laps to go, I've literally hit that wall of water and nearly threw it away at the last corner. So had a bit of a heart and mouth situation there, and but managed to hold on and win the championship. And to have so many things line up on the same day. It was my birthday, 5th in a row, home GP, second World Championship. Everything just sort of came together on that one day was something special. And I don't think too many people get to win a world championship on their birthday. So, that was something truly, truly special for me.
I can imagine. And continuing your streak, your last year race in 2012, you'd already announced that you were going to retire. There was, I imagine, a lot of pressure on you to make it 6 in a row at home, going back to Phillip Island for your last race, and you did. You did a fantastic race. How does that feel? When you look back on it now, it must have been a sensational moment.
Yeah, it was. Again, it wasn't a great season for us. Still felt like we had a really good chance at the championship. Unfortunately, a slip up in Indianapolis qualifying, we half destroyed my ankle, and had to call it a season. We had to get surgery immediately on it so we could even think about coming back from Phillip Island. So rather than trying to sort of tiptoe around for the rest of the season, which we knew you had to win races, and we're going to struggle to do that with the ankle. So we decided to come back and get surgery ASAP. They also said I shouldn't have been racing for the rest of the season because if I crashed on it again in its sort of delicate state, then there's a good chance I'd completely destroy my ankle and I wouldn't be walking on it again. It would be we'd have to do all sorts of stuff just to stabilise it, and might end up like Nick in the end and just absolutely locked together. So going that through your mind towards the end of the season was a little bit tricky, but we came back a couple of races before Phillip Island just to try and get ourselves back up to speed. Before that, we're getting slowly better, but it was still looking like we're going to struggle at Phillip Island. But as soon as we get there, like I said before, there was just something that I seem to have found early on in those years that I could. I don't want this to sound cocky, but I could sort of ride within myself and still be fast enough. There was just something at that place that my flow and a couple of lines that I found, I could really ride that place in safety, I suppose, and still have plenty of pace. So that with my ankle helped me a little bit throughout the weekend, and that gave us that sort of speed that we needed for the race, because if I was going to have to push, I was always going to have that little thing in my mind going, you can't crash here, you can't hurt this ankle.
Exactly.
You're about to retire, and I don't want to have a permanent injury going down the line. So it was a tough weekend for sure. There was a lot of people expecting. It was an amazing weekend to see so many fans down there for my last race there. And it was a little bit of an emotional weekend, thinking this is going to be my last time on this circuit, my last time racing here. So there was a lot going through my head that weekend for sure, more than what normally does. But we still managed to pull it off, and the weather held out, did everything right for me, and we managed to take home another win and 6 in a row. So it's something truly special when you get to do that on any circuit, but when you get to do it on your home, it's something I'm very grateful for.
And talking about retirement, the conversation does come up regularly, Casey. What would happen or would have happened if Casey Stoner hadn't retired so young? Do you ever think about it?
Yes and no. Not so much what would or wouldn't have happened. I think without a doubt I would have challenged for more championships. Whether I would have won another one, I don't know. That's up for debate. But it's something that we'll never know. I'll never know. I think sometimes I've had little wishes to come back, not necessarily for the racing aspect, but I loved working with my team. I know it sounds stupid, but I loved practice sessions when the weather was all right, the bike was working great.
Yep.
I loved qualifying sessions. I loved that little bit of pressure of getting everything right for a lap. I really enjoyed that when I got the most out of the bike in qualifying. That was good fun. Racing-wise, wasn't necessarily my most enjoyable part, because you'd put all this effort into 20 bloody laps and you can't make a mistake. And as you know, Chris, it's that easy to make a mistake on those bikes.
Yes.
Especially when you're pushing that hard. So one little twitch of the finger on the front brake at the wrong moment, you're down. Hitting a little bump and bottoming that fork at the wrong moment and you're down. And, there's so many difficult aspects to the game. Missing your braking point by just that much, you run wide, it's race over. There's so many things to it and so much pressure on it. that it was sort of always more of a relief for me when I got to finish the race, whether I won or lost, or I had a great race, maybe finished even off the podium. But if I was really happy with my race, that was just a big relief for me. Like, I did my job. But yeah, so I think that aspect I didn't really miss, but I did miss working with the team and, like I said, qualifying and pulling out lap times that were that felt pretty much as good as you could do was a fantastic feeling for me.
I completely agree, mate, with the same when I stopped. So, talking about the future though, have you ever thought about getting involved in MotoGP or any other form of motorsport in a different capacity, like a team manager or in a mentor role or anything?
As you know, we had a certain role there with Ducati. I tried with Honda in the beginning, but kind of got squeezed out a little bit by the young gun coming through. Didn't want me around, so we tried this with Ducati as well, but couldn't come to agreement on terms and things like this. So we had to step aside from that role. I didn't really feel like I could give to the team what I wanted to.
Yep.
I knew what the riders wanted. I knew what we worked really, really well together. But unfortunately, riders don't always get the say. Again, as you know, with some of the manufacturers, they see data and they see what they believe is the correct direction. And, it doesn't always sit well with the riders. So it was just a constant slog, constant fight, trying to get the right things changed on the bike to move forward. And it was hard work. So being in Australia and not being able to be over there as well, having more meetings and discussions and pushing them harder was a little bit difficult. So I sort of stepped back from that role, but I still think I have a lot to give to the sport. I still think there's certain aspects that I think maybe outside of the box and have a different view of things that can help in some ways. I'm certainly not going to go in and make solutions, etc. But I know what needs to be done to win races and think that, I really have something to give back in the future. But at the same time, I might have to wait until this chronic fatigue passes so I can actually give a little bit more than what I currently can. So, currently trying to put all my efforts into this and my family, and then we'll see what the future holds. But to be honest, I would like to be involved a little bit more and see what the future holds with MotoGP.
Well, we want to see you fit and healthy first, but we'd love to see you more involved. Would be great for everyone, I reckon. On to the new Aussie coming through, Jack Miller. It's been announced he's signed for the Ducati team, which you won the championship for in so many races. What was your initial reaction to that news? And have you got any advice for Jack for this year?
I don't know if I have any advice. I think Jack's really matured over these last years, and I've been impressed with the way he's sort of structured himself and moving forward. You see it in results. You see it in the way he works. You see his focus, his motivation. Everything seems to be growing year by year, and his results have been, really consistent over these last years.
Yep.
I'd still like to see him maybe work a little better with the harder tyres, because sometimes it is really good when you're on the fence going between a soft option and a hard option. It's good knowing that you can run that harder tyre. So working with the engineers, trying to get that bike to work a little better with the hard tyres, knowing that you can go into a race, you're not going to have to worry about that end of race drop-off, especially what seems to happen with the current manufactured tyres. So I think he's going to do a great job there. I think Ducati have made the right choice, but it's just which Ducati rider is going to be there as his teammate, I suppose.
Exactly.
It might be obvious for some, but it might be a big shock coming. So we really don't know. But I think it's fantastic that Jack's got his opportunity. He fully deserves it. Like I said, he's been working hard. Results have been showing, and hopefully he can sort of get what he wants out of the factory bike. I think one thing he does have to understand is that factory bike isn't going to be a massive step above what he's already riding. Exactly. That's one thing with Ducati, is that their satellite bikes and their factory bikes, there's not a whole lot of difference. But what will be different is the support he's going to get. they're going to be there listening to every word he's saying, and the development will move in the direction maybe he wants, which is really, really good to see. So, you know, I'm going to enjoy seeing what he can do next year, and hopefully this COVID stuff has sort of really let up and things can go a little bit more back to normal next season, and they can get a full season out of it. But no, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm really happy for Jack and for Australia to have another guy on a factory bike.
I agree. Just a couple of quick fire questions to finish off, Casey. When did you start motorcycle racing, and who inspired you?
I started when I was 4, I think. Started riding at 3, racing at 4. And I think from a very, very early age, 5, 6 years old, it was Mick doing.
Yep.
You know, Mick's been my idol since I was that age. And before all of the accidents happened, all of his operations, and then to come back and do what he did, for me, there's still no one in this championship that even competes with what he's done. Mm-hmm. No one's had to come back from those injuries and have a run of success like he did. And without the second bad incident, which happened and put an end to his career, you know, who knows how much further it could have gone for. So I would really have liked him to see him continue, but it's got to be hard work, you know, having to drag yourself back up again after another setback like it was. But yeah, for him to do what he did after those injuries, in my opinion, no one competes with that. So he is the GOAT in my eyes, and his determination has sort of kept me going through the years to know that no matter how hard it gets, you can always just keep pushing through it.
Yes. What was your first motorcycle, if you can remember that far back?
Yamaha Pee-wee 50. I think it would have been a 79 or 78 model, something like that. It was white and black seat with a duckbill looking front guard, which I think I lost in the first week of riding it. Ran into the throttle stuck on and ran into a barbed wire fence, which wasn't ideal. But no, it was a fantastic little bike, and still to this day the best bike to learn to ride on.
Yep. And if you could have any motorcycle in the world, what is your dream motorbike, or have you had it?
That's a good one. I'd say in terms of racing bikes, 2012 Honda, mm-hmm. With the first version of the Bridgestone tyres before they changed them at the start of the season, was probably nearly the ultimate motorcycle. It was great under brakes, fantastic. I was happy with the way it turned. I was happy with the way I had grip, just everything about it. I felt really at one with it and comfortable. And then after the first test, they went and changed the tyre options, and it just destroyed it. We had nothing but chatter then for the rest of the year, and struggled with it like you wouldn't believe. So before then, that was the ultimate bike I'd ever ridden. In terms of street bike, I mean, I've got the Desmo Sudici, and I think that's a fantastic piece. I still haven't taken it on the road. It'll just sit downstairs, I think. But no, I mean, there's a few beautiful bikes out there that I'll probably never reach. Beyond that is probably a 96 CR 250.
Yeah.
You know, McGrath was a big hero of mine, and fell in love with that bike. So that's a tough one to get a hold of, to be honest.
I know what you mean. Exactly what you mean. Casey, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem. Thanks. Great catching up.